Hi, I'm Stu and welcome back to the channel. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know I predominantly film around Cornwall and I like using a drone. I do all my editing on DaVinci Resolve and I've recently been having a play with the new plugin for DaVinci from Dehancer. Full disclosure, Dehancer have sent me a copy of their plugin for DaVinci Resolve for me to have a look at, to have a play with, and to let people know what I think. For those of you who've not come across Dehancer in the past, it is a film emulation plugin designed to give digital footage a more analog feel. It includes simulations of different film stocks, as well as tools to bring in film grain, halation, bloom, and a color response. So rather than simply adding on a LUT and changing the colors, the idea is to create the sum of the way that photographic and motion picture film actually responds to light. In essence, what it does is rather than enhance your footage, it dehances it. So it does exactly what it says on the tin. We'll be comparing two identical videos to see how Dehancer can make a difference in how the video looks. And we'll also have a look at the iOS app and Dehancer Online and see how they compare as well. So let's start with the DaVinci Resolve plugin and see what it can actually do. So here we are in DaVinci and going to have a look at the Dehancer plugin for it. I've got 3 clips that I've already preloaded onto this timeline. This one has already been color graded. This one is not, but we'll come back to that in a minute. So it's very important we color grade our clips before we use Dehancer. Dehancer comes after the color grade. So what we need to do is first of all go to the color wheel at the bottom, click on it. We want to, it's my color grading here. We want to create another node after this one. So I'm going to right click or control click onto my last node, add a serial node, and this one is going to be our node for Dehancer. Right, so we select that node, go to FX, and we need to go all the way down to the bottom to find Dehancer. Drag that onto it, and then you'll see the Dehancer loading up on there. Okay, can you see already that the clip has changed? Okay, Dehancer on, Dehancer off. It has dehanced the clip. We've got our source. I want to keep that as Rec 709. We can change the profile of the film. So this is where we can think about the different cameras we're using. Like there's a Fujifilm, or we can go just find the one we like or like the look of. All these different cameras we can play with. I'm going to select the Vision 3 250D. We can change the film developer, contrast boost. We can change the gamma correction, color separation, and color boost. Film compression, we can play with that. Look at the tonal range, just move that up and down. Not much change there. White point, not much change there. Enable, disable. Oh, I'm going to enable it. See that over here, we can see a bit more of the waves when I enable that. Let's enable that. We've got our black point, our white point, and our color mode. We've got our print, linear, the Cineon film log. You see the picture changing. The Fujifilm print, Kodak print, or Kodak Endura glossy paper print. See, I quite like that one. That's quite cool. So I'm going to choose that. So our target white, we can play around with that. See how the scopes at the bottom are changing around. You can change the exposure. Get it to a level we like. We can change the tonal contrast. Again, get it to a level we like. We can enable it. or we can disable it. The film grain, we can add that analog style grain to our film. If I wanted to use a 35mm ISO 50, let's turn our graining up a little bit. See how that changes? And if I press play, bring it right back, press play, can you see there is grain on our image? If I turn it off, the grain disappears. Turn it on, the grain comes back on again. What I have found, can you see the change in speed? Once I start adding more and more things to the clip, the actual footage in the timeline slows down because the laptop is struggling with the processing. You'll find that quite a lot with Dehancer. It doesn't affect the final clip, but it will affect you working on it. Change the halation, but there are no lights in this one, so we're not going to get that nice glow. Same with the bloom. We can add film damage to it, so we can think, oh, I want to get a bit of film damage in this. Let's turn that right up and then see what comes up with it. We can enable it and disable. Enable, disable. And can you see the bottom here? Our scopes are jittering all over the place. I'm going to turn that down. We can add a gate weave in there depending on what we want as we change different cameras. I'm going to keep it as my super 35mm. We can change the overscan. We got on there. We got the vignette. Our monitor we can change. Have a look at what the different colors are like. We can turn on the clipping. We can have a look at our output. We can change. We can make this into a LUT. We can actually save this as a LUT. But if we go right back to the top again, all right, I can turn. We press play. This is our Dehancer. You can see it's struggling a little bit there. It's on 23 frames per second. This is a 60 frame per second image. If I turn it off, that's the digital. And then turn it back on again, that's our analog. So it's just a way of changing around our footage, making it a little bit more cinematic in terms of that old cinema look. So once we're ready and we're happy with our clip, we can then copy it, same as we do with our color grading. I'm going to select my other two clips, control click or right click onto the original one and press apply grade. And then that will give us the same effects on both the other clips. Okay, so that was just a quick play around with Dehancer on the Mac using DaVinci Resolve and the Dehancer Pro 741 plugin. Now, if you don't want to sit down at a computer to do all of this, Dehancer also has an iOS app. And if we want to use the iOS app, here it is on my phone. Click on Dehancer, and we have a choice of either a new photo project or a new video project. Let's select new video project, select the video we want to work with, and then you have the new project name. We'll just keep it as the date, and then we get to choose what camera we would like to emulate. On the top we have our media, so that's where we can just select our different media. We can crop it, and then let's go to films. So this is where we can start thinking about the different camera types that we want to use. Just going through each of them. So we've got an Agfa Color XRS 200, a Cinestill, the Eterna Vivid 500. There's lots of different cameras we can have a look at. Fujichrome. I'm going to go over, swipe all the way over until I can find, there we go, Kodak. And I would like the Ektar 100, I think. Here's the train coming, look. Again, you can see that it's the phone itself is struggling with the processing, but it won't affect the final video. I think I'll actually go for let's go for a Kodak Supra again. Now, Kodak Vision 250D again. I do like that one. And we can see here's the train coming over. There we are. There's a train coming over with the emulator. Let's pause. Go back out. I want a nice picture of the train. There we go. Then we can go to the lab, and in here we have got a basic or we've got advanced, depending on what you would like to do. So exposure, just change the exposure of your pictures. Again, it will delay slightly. We've got a tonal contrast. We can have a play with that. If you want to go back, you just press the undo button halfway up. Got temperature, the push-pull, the total output. In advanced, we can go, again, we've got our tint, we've got temperature, we can enable defringe, turn that up, turn it down, get it back. We can have a look at the developer. So we can look at the color separation, or the gamma correction, or the color boost. We have the compression, so we can work on the white point. We can work on the tonal range, color density, and the impact. Let's get that back where it was, and then expand black point, white point, color mode. And then when we're happy with what we've got, all we do is we press export in the top right hand corner. We can think about our video options, 4K, HD, or standard definition. We can think about our max frame rate, might bring it down to 24, and our bit rate, normal or high. And once we're happy with all that, we just tick and it will start to export. So that is the Dehancer iOS app. And finally, there's Dehancer Online, a photo editing piece of software. This is probably the most interesting option if you're not using Resolve or you simply want to experiment with Dehancer without installing a plugin or an app. Let's take an image and see what we can do with it here. To use Dehancer Online, we go to dehancer.com up here and then down to the products. Go all the way down, you can see the iOS app, the desktop, and online is where we want to go. So click on online and try for free. When we open this up, we can drag and drop a photograph into this area here. So click on it, find a photo. Let's just have a look. I think we'll go with one of these ones, and there, the beach. That'll do. Okay, so we've got Porthtowan Beach just loading up, and it's got to upload, so it takes a little while. And here we go. There it is. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of different thumbnails here. These are the different camera styles that can be used. There's the featured ones at the top and then colored. So we've got lots of different styles down here. You can see it just keeps going. And let's pick one that we like the look of. Maybe. Let's have a look at some of the black and white ones. Yeah, they could be all right. That makes it look quite old worldy. But no, I think we'll go and use a color. So scrolling back up, let's go with That's all right. Yep, I like that one. Let's have a look at the light then. So again, we've got thumbnails showing different levels of light. So it's not a sliding scale on this one. We are just picking the different levels of light using the thumbnails. That looks all right. Let's try a little bit. Yep. And then on to the color. So you can see again, we've got thumbnails to choose from. They've done all the work for us basically. And we can choose the best color to fit the image that we want. No, it's a bit too blue. So look at that one. That's looking all right. Yeah. And then we can go to effects. This is where we get our sliding scales. So we've got the grain. Again, we can add more grain to our photograph to make it look like an analog photo. Or we can turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. Let's bring it back down a little bit. It's too much grain. We've got the bloom, so we can move the bloom around. Again, we can see turned off, turned on. And then finally, we've got the halation, but again, we haven't got any lights in this one, so you're not going to get that nice glow. But there we go, off and on. Then we got the vignette, so that will, there we go, we can change the vignette, so we get that dark shadow all around, or we can turn it all the way up and make it like really bright. I don't want the vignette, so I'm turning that off. And we can also look at the original photograph. There's the original digital photo, and then our original and our analog version. We can adjust things like the exposure. Let's bring that down. Take it back up again, and bring it back down. Let's keep looking at this one. It's just really loading up what we want our picture to look like when we've finished. Yeah, I think that's quite good for the contrast. Or we can reset it. Got a tint. Oh, pink. And green. Okay. And then our color boost. Whoa, very. And then no color, very flat. I think we'll put it about there. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. And we can also crop. So we can pick a different aspect ratio depending on what we're trying to do. If we wanted to go on social media, or we want a 16:9, we can crop and then move it around and then apply it. But I'm going to keep as is on my photograph. Then to export, we just go to export, choose either lossless or best quality or optimize for web. I'm going to go for the best quality JPEG and then leave it to render. And that'll give us a photograph once it's finished. And there it is, downloaded, nice and quick. So that was Dehancer Online. Here's our finished photograph, looking analog and as if it's from one of those old cameras up in the sky. And if you would like to see the comparison between two videos, we have got up here will be a link to a Dehancer video, and down here is an original digital version of the same video. Thanks for watching. Any questions, put them down in the comments. In the description below, you'll find links to the two videos and to Dehancer Online or Dehancer to try these for yourself.